Hey, this is Dave coming at you from Southeast Michigan again. I figured I'd do another video. Maybe I'll do like a little mini series on the progress of my front porch and just show you what we're doing and kind of how we're getting it done, laying it out. So today we got the stringers in and we concreted these front posts in here. And my son was putting the deck boards on while me and Steven did all this stuff. And so let me see. One thing I wanted to mention too, a little pointer, is when you're doing this on deck posts, when you're putting the posts and you want to find the even spacing between them, whether it's fencing or just the posts on deck, the easiest way to figure out the spacing is, even though you have 4 posts, you always subtract the posts. So 4 posts, you have 3 spaces, 1, 2, 3. And you want to measure to the center on the outside posts. So if you take the measurement from the center from here, measure over to the center of this end post, and however many spaces you have, and in my case I have 3 spaces, you just divide that by 3. I know it's real complicated math, but bear with me. You just divide it by 3, and then what that does is it gives you the center of these posts, which are 3.5. So center, measure over 1 3/4 inches, 1 3/4, and then once you have it, double check your measurements, and 10 times out of 10 it'll be the exact measurement that you got from your math. That's how you figure that out. So if you have a fence that's 3 miles long, it would basically be the same measurement. But then again, I guess if you had a 3-mile long fence, you wouldn't measure from end to end because they don't make a tape measure that long. So you'd probably just start measuring, just whatever length or space you want, and just make it up at the end. But that's how you figure out whenever you have, a reasonable distance. Center from the end post, measure the space, divide it by however many spaces you have, not by how many posts you have. So yeah, that's a good pointer. Now here is one thing I was talking about in the other video. See how we put these weather strips down? Nothing much. We skipped this one because, believe it or not, this joist here was a little bit higher. It was like an 1/8 inch high just because of the way it was sold from Home Depot. So we figured let's just leave that out on that, because no one does this anyways. This is overkill anyways, putting these spaces, the weather shield. The whole rest of the deck is done except for like 8 feet of one board. And we're going to piece this in tomorrow with some more stuff, but you can tell I had to climb under there. Speaking of that, you can see the 2x4 I added under there when we mounted the stringers. And you can see from the underside, once this is all screwed down, you can definitely see that weather shield will help keep these joists protected from any water getting under there. So anyways, let me talk more about how I do these stairs, because I think I've kind of figured it out to where it's one of the better ways to build deck steps. And you'll see as I go. Like I said, I'll do like this. This will be like a mini series, maybe like a 4-part series of this deck project. But what we do is, with most decks, whatever your rise and run is, whatever material you're going to put on your run, you cut that off the bottom of your stringer. Same thing with whatever material you're going to use for your rise. You're going to cut that off the back of your stringer. And so in this case, you'll see here, this one here, we had already cut off the back of this 1.5 inches. So this distance here is 12 on this run, and then this one's 10.5. And this mounted to the side of this, right? You see that? And the reason why you mount this to the side is that way on the other side of the stringer, in the finished deck build, you see all of the stringer instead of an edge board coming out, which it's not a big deal, but it makes it a little bit better appealing. So that's why I put the 2 end stringers on the end and tied it sideways this way. Plus you have more shear strength. You're going down instead of having them running through, and it can pull off of it. Okay, so that, and then you can see that the next one over is actually inside on the 2x6. So it seems weird when you're cutting the stringers, but this one gets an entire 3 inches cut off the back of it. So then at the end of the day, you still have 10.5 here all the way, and 10.5 from here all the way back to here. I'm sure that makes sense to builders right there. And what we do, I know this seems ridiculous. I literally went 12 on center on these stringers, but you're using deck boards which are an inch and an eighth, which is a little bit less than an inch and a half. So it just makes it stronger, and you're spending an extra $25, $30. I bought 2 extra boards, so I cut 4 more. I'm like, I don't want to have 16 on center, 24 on center. Then you'd have to put blocking between it. It's like, let's just cut all these. So you make one pattern. I cut them all the same. And then I just took the 2 end ones, knowing I figured them all already with the 1.5 inch cut off. So I did all those. And then I just went ahead and I just double cut these because I wanted to keep them straight. So I had the 2 that are an 1.5 inch longer, set them to the side. And then I just took all the inside ones and just cut an 1.5 inch off. And then we did the same thing on the front too. This one runs on the inside of this stringer. And then we just cut an extra 1.5 inch off of these. And then we just built the whole staircase with this ledger board. In the front ledger board, we built it out here. And then we just put it all in. We measured down from the top finished deck to exactly where it will be. So we basically measured down 5 3/4 plus the deck board distance, because our step is actually 5 3/4. So since this doesn't have the deck lumber on it yet, we just took the deck lumber distance and just dropped it down even lower. And then we just drew a line and leveled it across. And then I used 4 lag bolts through here. And then what I'm also going to do is put some deck screws in there just to kind of add a little bit extra, but this will hold it forever. And then plus we have the posts that are concreted in. So that's how we did that. And then all we did was put a level on here, nothing fancy, just to make sure that the stringers are square, so it's not like an accordion going this way or this way. And then once we had that straight, we just double checked it over here with a square, and it was right on. So that's all you need to do when you only have 3 treads. It's not like some tool and die where it has to be thousands of inches. It's square. And so now it's ready to put the deck boards on. And another thing that we did here is envision the bond here. Everything's flush here. You got the railing flush, that point flush going that way, flush going this way. Same thing here, flush. So they'll just pretend that the stringer is also a bond board. So this railing will match up with this railing. So what I did, I notched this board, that smaller piece of wood, which is basically 2 inch by 2 inch. It's still a little chunky there. And that goes down the 42 inches all the way down. That portion of this post got concreted in, and then that's going to support the stringers, and this sets on the brick of the stone, and that's pretty solid. The other stairs sat there for 20 years and it was fine. So not only is it sitting on this to kind of hold the span, I was thinking about adding another post in the middle, but that's just overkill because that's super solid anyways. But this right here is a great way to do it because it's still sitting on this on each side, and it's flush, and it's concreted in, which will keep this post super sturdy. So that's how we did it. And then since the concrete's setting up, because we just put those in tonight right before we stopped working, these always have flex in it a little bit. These will get sturdied up once the railings go in. This right here, same to a point, but since it's concreted in, that's why we put these braces. We plumbed them perfect, shot those braces in, because once the concrete hardens up, I don't want to be messing around with a board that's not plumb and it's concreted in the bottom. And so we did the same thing here. And then this way, on the end of a stair deck railing, this left and right this way plumb is more important than in and out. I mean, obviously you still want that to be plumb too, but if it's imperfect, you're gonna gain the strength from this one when the railing fastens into it. So you have more of a tendency to have a little play left and right. And so that's where we're at. And then we're hoping that we'll finish this by next Tuesday. We're working tomorrow, Friday, and then Monday, Tuesday, because we still have to build the stair treads, build the railings, do the cap. And then we have some nice trim, it's like some 1x4 that's going to be mitered. It's going to look really nice. So I just figured, you know, 3 more days, it'll be a healthy, not rushing through it, but just getting it done right. And then we just put this big stack here because there's a little bit of a bounce there. You know, it's bouncing a little bit out of level. So we just put that weight there, and then once that hardens up by tomorrow morning, it'll be nice and strong. But anyways, yeah, that's the update, and I'll just do a couple more videos just to show you how it's kind of coming together. It's hard to make these videos like while we're working and showing it done, just because we're working and the saws are running. And I guess my YouTube channel hasn't gotten big enough where I've felt like investing in a better camera and stuff like that. I'm still just doing it off my phone and not editing much, but I'm just trying to, like I said before in other videos, I do this as kind of like a journal for myself of seeing where I'm at, what progress I'm making on projects, and just to share my knowledge on to people while I come across things that I, one time in my life, didn't know the answer to some of the stuff. So I hope it helps people, and I'll be making, like I said, a couple more videos. This is Dave, signing off.